Imagine you make a console that ended up in retirement homes, hospitals, and even living rooms of people who never touched a video game. And on top of that, it costed less than the competition at that time. That's what Nintendo's Wii did, and it was so big that everyone and their mama had it in their homes, but we've never seen anything like it since. Why is that? The power of the Wii. You see, gaming was still something relatively new when we released back in 2006, so most of the adults wouldn't be able to understand all the buttons, controls, mechanics, everything they need to know to play basically any game at that time, and mostly their reaction time is pretty bad because, they're old, they're unks, but how we decided to target them was a very smart move. We was pretty revolutionary. We had nothing like it before. See, back in 2006, we had all kinds of games. We had machine games, we had PS3, we had Xbox, we had all kinds of different stuff that were just pretty fun, but targeting smaller audience, which means mostly targeting kids, teens, and young adults. But when we released, it was something new that changed the whole mechanics. It made even your grandmas in retirement home be able to play, and believe me, they were having much more fun. It was cheaper, so people would kind of feel less, let's say, risk to buy it and try something new, because when people, especially older people, they're pretty careful with their money. When they don't know if they're gonna like something, they feel a risk of buying it, like if they're not gonna like it, of course, as every other human being. But the fact that this was cheaper than all the other consoles like PS3, Xbox, and everything that was released before that, PS2, if anyone used it at that time, was more expensive than the Wii. So they decided to buy the Wii, and believe me, it was a great investment. It was pretty fun. It was entertaining everyone. Also, it was more attractive because the competition was more expensive. So when you see something cheaper that could be as good or even better than what's more expensive, you're probably gonna buy the cheaper version, of course. So the whole Wii was based on movement. So it was movement based, so no buttons, which means it was easy to control, and everyone from age 5 to age 85 could enjoy Wii and could play. The Wii launched at a perfect time. You see, if Wii launched, let's say, 2001, then people will forget it quickly, because that was the time where we got all legendary games that everyone loved and wanted to play. But on the other hand, if it launched in 2015, then it would be too late, because that spark for something new would have disappeared, and we would have already got some amazing games that even the older people could know how to enjoy. So the launch time, 2006, was perfect, because people started getting bored of basic games. So at that time, we were just getting like fighting games or some story games like Tomb Raider and all that. They were basic. We already seen all that in the past like 15 years prior to that time, but Wii was something new. Nobody's seen anything like that, and you're gonna see how the competition felt that popularity and wanted to fill in their pockets too. The gaming was still at its peak, so as we all know, the gaming is still at its peak, but at that time, it was pretty new and it was still at its peak, and everyone wanted to play a game. Even a grandma wanted to know what's the experience of playing a game, before she dies or something. So believe me, Wii launched at a perfect time. The peak of the Wii. Now, with no doubt, the peak of this console was the Wii Sports. As we all know, it connected everyone together. It connected old couples, it connected exes, it connected parents, family, friends. They would all go to their friend's house or their neighbors, or even if they had it at their own house, and play Wii Sports together. And the fact that it was bundled with the console made it one of the best selling games of all time. Just imagine buying the Wii, not knowing if you would like it, and experiencing Wii Sports for the first time. I can't imagine that feeling, since I wasn't alive when the Wii was released, but I know that everyone to this day talks about how big that console was. In the Wii Sport, we had a bunch of sports like tennis, bowling, golf, boxing, baseball. They were all perfect, and they were what picked this console and made it stand out abnormally above the others. But the reason Nintendo sold so many Wiis wasn't only because of Wii Sports, as we all know. It was because of the movements and the mechanics were something new, never seen before, and of course the competition tried copying them. So Sony released PlayStation Moves for PS3, which was good, to be honest. I used it. That was the only moving interactive thing that I ever had in my house, that I ever tried, and I was having hella fun with it. It was pretty good, and I think it was cool, but still it was nowhere near Wii, and it never reached the hype that Wii had. The slow downfall. So like every other console, Wii needed to fall off at some point. With Nintendo Wii, it fell off with time passing. It just wasn't interesting anymore. It was interesting first 2-3 years, maybe if even that. But of course, new stuff appear and everyone thinks of something new, so people get bored of the old stuff. Now, I'm not saying that people weren't still playing Wii, they were, but not in the way they were playing it before. Also, they released a sequel called Wii U for some reason. It's on only 30 million, which isn't that bad, but compared to 101 million that we sold, is awful. The reason it failed was basically poor marketing. Instead of naming the console just, I don't know, Wii 2 or I don't know, they could have named it Us, because, you know, We, Us, you know, that's a stupid idea. Please, I'm happy I wasn't alive that time, because if I was, the console would have sold even less than it sold. So instead of naming it Wii 2 or something, they just named it Wii U, and it also looked like just like a tablet or addition to the console players already had. So they basically didn't care about it, because many games that shouldn't appear on it did, but years later, which just made everyone not give a fuck about it, and which made everyone not care even a bit about it, because it's genuinely not good the way Wii was. But the reason for even releasing Wii U in that kind of way and not similar to Wii was mobile gaming. You see, at that time, mobile gaming exploded. First iPhone launched 2007, if I'm not wrong, and it was cheaper, it was simpler, it was something new, and games like Candy Crush, Angry Birds, Flappy Bird, Ninja Fruits, and all those games were even easier than Wii, which people thought couldn't happen, but it actually happened. So these games were even easier than the Wii, so all people would enjoy these games even more. So that's the reason why the Wii kind of started to fall off. The only replacement. Nintendo Wii couldn't be replaced no matter what they tried, but the only thing that sparked the same curiosity like we did was, as we all know, Nintendo Switch. It's kind of a, let's say, spiritual successor, because Switch didn't copy movement or mechanics of Nintendo Wii. It combined the mobile, easy accessible gaming with console gaming, so you like get this phone with 2 controllers that can connect on your TV. You can plug off the controllers and use them on the TV. They have 4 buttons and an analog, so it was still not hard to control, you know, and that all sounded great, but the biggest problem, and still is, that the games are not that good. Yeah, they are some good games, but they're not the best, and you don't have many newer games to choose from, like AAA titles like, I don't know, Red Dead Redemption and all that. So buying Nintendo Switch would just be like buying a mobile and playing games that you can play on your mobile, and the fact that Nintendo Switch is more expensive just doesn't make any sense. Though I'm not saying it's that bad, but yeah, it could have been much better. But here is the closest thing that there's ever been to Nintendo Wii, and it feels like the popularity of Nintendo Switch is only rising, so who knows, maybe one day we'll overcome Nintendo Wii. And you gotta understand one thing: if anyone could have repeated the same thing with Nintendo Wii, it could only be Nintendo, because if Nintendo could have repeated what they did with Wii, they definitely would have.